Hey, good morning. Hey, good morning. It's the Fort Worth Playboy, and you are joining the Fort Worth Playboy morning show. And I'm glad you're here. And we are in our third week. It's Thursday morning, and like I always try to brief people why we're here, what we do on this show. And the morning show is basically tactical advancement on game, pickup, relationships, and sex. And like I say, under the red pill banner, which is where we fall under with like men's rights and the battle of the sexes and male female inter interaction, um, we let the guys that are good at the strategy stuff and the debate and when you talk about like Rolo and Fresh and Fit and all of all of those people, they look more like at the strategic um, debates in our world, and we're more on the tactical end. If you come to mine or Bunny's timeline, we want to deliver to you timely, useful, on the ground advice you can actually apply that day and improve your game, your relationships, your sex life immediately. Small things can have, what we say the hinge method, that like one or two small hinges can move a big door. And that's how we approach this, is one or two small things like the changing the way you text or changing the way you interact or changing the rhythm of your responses to a girl or your girlfriend or a wife can make a major change in how she reacts to you. So we're going to start like we normally do with Chateau Artiste with a Maxim, and it's Maxim number. Make sure it's up. There we go. This thing's getting a little bit smoother every day. Maxim number 5: a man's looks don't matter as much to women as a woman's looks matter to men. Women really only need two things. They need to be slim and long hair. Those are really just the two things that will set apart women. And guys are even like, they'll even kind of like go, well, she looks cute with short hair, but she'll always look better with long hair. But the weight issue is the number one issue that will hold girls' appearance back, and all the other factors combined still won't outweigh. She can have a pretty face, or she can have a busted face, a caustic personality, and be horrible with managing her emotions, and all those things can be forgiven if she's slim. But if she's overweight, none of that can be ignored, and any good things will be, ignored too. So a woman's looks matter to men. It's the number one thing. It doesn't matter if she owns a house. It doesn't matter if she has 3 master's degrees. It doesn't matter what she's accomplished. It doesn't matter what her rank in girl world is, but her appearance matters. A man's looks don't matter as much to women. And the reason is because men have so many other things that goes into it. You got to realize, like, when you see a stunner and she's walking around with a 60-year-old guy that's like 5'4" and balding, and he's like 30 pounds overweight, if you asked her, why are you with this guy? And she'll go, I don't know. He's not really my type. I usually kind of go for like the Chad athletic types, but there's just something about him. And what that something is game. He has charisma. And so that's what comes into a man's looks don't matter as much to women. Because with women, and this is why it's so important that you get offline and in front of them, is because men can only really sell themselves in person. With looks will open the door for you. And if you're an average, slightly above average, good-looking guy, and you have no game, girls will sniff that out pretty quickly, and then it's over. It gets you in the door, but it won't keep her engaged. And women, they, again, If you're an average looking guy, you're going to have game when you show up and to keep everything rocketing in the right direction. But game, that learned charisma is what they're talking about. You can have other, factors that will add in to the whole package, your income, your presence, your height, your fitness, your hobbies, who you are. All those things start figuring in. But that charisma, that learned charisma, that game is what people are talking about, or what the Maxim is talking about, where your looks are not that important. And I've noticed over time, I mean, they really are almost, other than, not being overweight or obese, girls will almost look past any other physical things, and allow your charisma to surface. And that's the real deal. I mean, very unattractive. Most men are not attractive, but the charisma is what keeps them engaged. So just know, at the end of the day, it is important to take care of your minimum grooming. Again, if you're showering, you're already ahead of the curve, believe it or not. Hitting your minimum on hygiene, grooming, dress well, not like a clown, and that charisma, and you'll be in the top 10%. It's that simple. Guys think you're not competing against a guy who's like a 6'7" hedge fund manager. You're competing against, 5'7", 5'8", 220-pound guys that like to watch sports and get drunk 6 out of 7 days a week. And that's who is showing up. So you kind of have to look at that. Doesn't mean you don't work, but you got to take care of the minimums, and you'll already be way ahead of the curve. Maxim number 5, a man's looks do not matter as much to women as a woman's looks matter to men. So focus on that charisma and game, and hit the basics, and you should do extremely well for yourself. Ian has a question here, and it's a pretty common question, so I'm going to get to it. He says, after a recent breakup, this is my first time back on the market since college. I'm 27 now and live in a smaller metro area. That's good enough. You'll have lots of options. Still living at home because I spent most time at my ex's apartment. Home is with my mom only. She travels a lot for work. I don't love dating apps. Where are the best places going to be to meet women? I know I need my own place as soon as possible. Always met girls through friends' college. Ian, this is the third place rule is like, I do recommend you at least, if you're talking about like meeting lots of women, there's no place better than online. And if you're not hitting, if you're not confident, always tell people to pick up Bunny's book, The Magic Bullet Guide to Online Dating, because it will give you 3 or 4 very basic things that you can do that will set your profile apart. And in there is also how to move them from online to in front of you quickly. It's small things. And most guys that I have talked to that don't like online simply were not successful at it. There's nothing about any man that we've dealt with that makes it absolutely impossible for online to be a source for him. For some guys, it'll be a better source than others. But again, especially if you're talking about, I want to meet a lot of women in a short amount of time. It's the number one method. And it's the number one way people meet nowadays. They like, every coach, every guy you see on here, a lot of guys will shit on it, but it's because they haven't been successful or haven't sat down and figured out how to be successful with it. Again, it's just like game. It is something that you start out and you're like, well, where do I land? And then you learn this one thing is the most important thing. Let's focus on that and get that taken care of. Then the second thing, it really is something that you can learn and put together. And it doesn't take long. We're talking like 3 or 4 days, and have a profile that gets you responses. And then we teach you how to get that response, get her from online to in front of you quickly. Because that's another place that people really screw the pooch on online dating, is they try to become a text buddy and they're texting back and forth. And it should be like 2 or 3 texts, get her onto the phone, get her on the phone, get her in front of you, 2 or 3 days, because time kills deals. So there's little things that you can do that you may not know about yet that can improve your online game. Beyond that, you have work, you have the gym, and especially if you're in a gym like a CrossFit gym or a group training gym, it's actually easier to meet women that way because you have rest periods where you're kind of all hanging out. Because people have asked me, like, well, where would I, I'm at the gym and I'm competing against all these meatheads for attention to a certain extent. But usually, if you're looking at like some type of group fitness, and some of them, there's even like, it's basically like a nightclub with cardio and some weightlifting and a DJ or a person at the front that's literally targeted for 27, 28, 29-year-olds. That way they can meet each other and also get a workout in. And it may not be your primary training facility, but it can be something that you do. Running clubs, anything athletic, if you're athletic, get into a group that is like-minded people. And again, you're going to deal with girls that are at least fitness minded. And then anywhere you're at, because this is one of those things where I always tell people, always say hi to every girl, every attractive girl you see. That way it's automatic. You're always kind of on alert for girls that are in your area. And again, remember, when a girl finds you attractive, she'll put herself in your proximity. So work, gym, any third place that you're at, and even meetup groups, we understand like there are singles meetup groups that if you have some basic game, the girls are going to be so goddamn relieved that you just showed up. And guys don't participate in these things as much as the women do. So therefore, you're going to have a numbers advantage. But you do have to kind of put yourself out there, have some interesting hobbies, and be out. But always be on alert. Again, like you said, you use friends in college. And don't forget your social circle game. Girls will come in and out, and they'll become girls that you might have been interested in, but they had a boyfriend. The boyfriend goes away, and then they're back on the market. So just be aware of what's around you. I feel like online dating has always given me lower quality women. That's a common experience. But it just may be luck of the draw. And if, you can use it as a filler, you can use it as practice, because the more women you're around, the more women you're closing, you tend to move up. If you're closing mostly 5s, 6s, you will start your confidence builds. You start closing 7s because you kind of have that, I'm already satisfied. You don't get that nervous. Again, sometimes it's like playing little league, high school ball, travel ball, minor leagues, the big leagues. Some guys don't show up with that natural talent. They have to develop it over time and move up. And with the online, you just kind of have to look at what you're dealing with. A lot of it's just luck of the draw. I hope that helps, because that's a very common question and a very common situation. 27, 28, there's going to be other women, but I would definitely say, again, look younger. Like 22, 23, they're going to be more open than a girl who's 27 or 28. They're going to be like, the clock is ticking. I need to, get married. If you're not looking to do that within the next couple of years, you want to wait into your 30s, definitely go younger, because the girls at your age are going to be putting pressure on to perform a certain standard, and it's probably not going to be in your interest. It won't be in your best interest. So let's see what else we got going on here. I did have simple alpha text rules. I put this out overnight, and it had a pretty good reaction from people. And guys, it's little things that pay off over time. And if you can keep your emotions and have some type of rules, because I think that's a problem with guys with texting is you see guys that don't know game, and they'll have like a wall of text on their side. And she'll respond and they'll respond. The guy will respond, then she won't respond. Then he'll double text. And then, hey, are you there? It's just crazy stuff when the guy doesn't know. And one of the best ways of changing your habits is to have rules, just kind of like vegetarians. They have a rule. I don't eat meat. But that one rule really helps them stay focused on being a vegetarian. So rules help you when you're trying to work on behaviors. So simple alpha text rules. No emojis. Emoji stands for emoticon. And again, the less, guys are not known to be emotional, and it's kind of feminine to use a lot of emojis. And every guy that will jump into these things go, I use them all the time. It doesn't matter if you use them all the time. The exceptions prove the rule. If you don't use them, you're going to have better reaction over time. And these are things you can start putting into your text game today, and you'll get a reaction today. It's that fast. Every guy that's actually used this stuff, it's instantaneous, especially through text. No punctuation, no double texting, never good morning or good night text. Don't do it. And say less than her. We always say it's the 2/3 rule. For every 3, text she sends, you send 2. You let her initiate. And I'm going to talk about initiating conversation. Before you have sex, a few times, within that first week or so, before you guys start fucking, you have to do goddamn nearly everything and just plan on it. Just plan on you having to carry the entire thing to getting her into bed. Because after you start having sex, the momentum starts to change. But before that, she may never text you first. It's just not in them. They are passive. They're the receivers. So you need to initiate. It's your job. After sex starts, you can start pulling back, and she'll start sending you text. She'll start initiating. She'll start making suggestions. She'll start making contact. She'll want to stick around you a little bit longer. And that doesn't mean throw away your rules. It just means she'll initiate more. And I think, guys, it messes them up before they start having sex. They think she should be doing more, and she really does nothing. And they're designed that way. They're kind of hardwired that way. And also they're coached to do that. Let him chase you, let him. So in the beginning, you really are making things happen. But then after the sex starts, girls will start chasing you. And when one of her girlfriends sees this girl chasing you, quite often the girlfriend will start chasing you. So it's where you start building momentum. You see these guys that are like, it looks pretty effortless, but they put out a lot of effort in the beginning to get the momentum going in their direction. So no emojis. You want to be a little bit more inscrutable. Again, if girls don't have any questions about where you're at or how you feel or what you think of things, there's no mystery. So you want to keep it somewhat flat. Like one girl commented in here that, it's kind of cold. And that's okay, because what bounces, you being kind of like less emotional, because most guys are like writing them a wall of text and talking to them 2 or 3 or 4 times a day because they don't have anything better to do. You're available a little bit. Your responses are varied. Sometimes you respond quickly. Sometimes you're busy. You'll get back to her. You're a busy guy. You got other things going on. You've got other women going on. Again, what amplifies these basic rules is how bad the average guy's text game is. And if you're not sure how bad it is, ask a girl that you trust, a girlfriend or your sister or someone on the market. Let me see your phone. I want to see how bad these guys text. And it's atrocious. And it's anti-game. It's the exact opposite of what girls desire, but it's an orbiter. It's a fan. So when you set yourself apart from that by doing it differently, it's amplified. So again, it doesn't mean be cold. Just follow these basic rules, and because if you do this, you'll hit it just right. We always say kind of like less is more. because guys tend to default to action, like, well, I haven't heard from her, I need to text her. And we always say, just let it ride. Just let it ride. And when you do less, it tends to hit that sweet spot of just right. So just know, because that's how it works. Doesn't mean ignore them. Doesn't mean, disappear. Doesn't mean never reveal anything about yourself. Just means less. No double texting. No good morning, good night texts. You should not be predictable. You should be out. She should not need to know where you're at and say less than her. And if she does reach out and ask you what's up, don't tell her you're like, I'm at work. Just make something up. Make something up interesting, just anything. It's just like when somebody goes, what do you do for a living? I say, I'm a professional MMA fighter. And I'm obviously a middle-aged, middle-class white guy. So I'm not an MMA fighter, but it's not what they expect, So always just throw something out there and you just pull it out of your ass. And once you get a couple, 2 or 3, you'll be able to use those over and over all the time. Remember, lines work. So let's see what else we got going on this morning. Simple alpha text rules, no emojis, no punctuation. Again, you'll be surprised at how it works. No double texting ever. No good morning, good night text, say less than her. And every comment in here is like some kind of exception. Don't worry about that. I'm washing. Okay. So Bunny reminded me, because my brain is a little fried at 7 a.m. She would say, hey, what are you doing? I say, I'm washing my gerbil. Or, I can't make it tonight. I got to wash my squirrel. So just stupid. You go, God, that's dumb. Just try it. You'll get a laugh and she'll forget she even asked what you were doing. That's the important thing, is just, you just tease them and move on. So I know it sounds dumb in theory, but it really works in action. Let's see. I'm on the wrong thing. Stay with me, gentlemen. Just stay with me. Oh, Ian, I'm sorry. Any advice on logistics without having your own apartment? Man, that is a tough one. You do need, but make no mistake, because you can close in your car if necessary. If you've been seeing a girl for a little bit, you can always use hotel rooms. It's kind of hard if you're 28 to like get her back to a local hotel. But girls understand, if you can get them back to the house when mom's not around, that sort of thing. But again, you're probably going to have to like go all the way back to high school and remember when you had no place to go. So you end up fucking on the picnic table in a park quite often, or in a car. So again, you're only using this. It's not forever. And it does drive guys crazy. They're like, well, I don't want to go backwards. Well, you kind of have to sometimes. And that's okay, because it makes girls nostalgic. Again, you can just play with it and just go, hey, I can't go home. My parents, or you can use her place, because a lot of these girls do have their own place. So that's what you have to do. You have to do what you have to do at the moment. And then your situation will change and it'll get better. Let's see. And I hope if anybody has any suggestions, by all means, jump in there. Hotel sex has saved more marriages than all the couples therapy combined. That's from Bunny, and I just repeated it. It's good stuff. It's true. Hotel sex has saved more marriages than all the couples therapy combined. And we got about 6 minutes. Again, a guy's pants fit weird on like the 4th date. I'm not proud of it, but I couldn't get over it. So this is, the egg, where what girls are really doing, she didn't really care about how his pants fit. What she's trying to signal to other girls is that she has so many options that she can just blow a guy off for a meaningless reason, and she'll be fine. And she's also, trying to signal to guys that she's, 1, available, and 2, that she's ready to go out. Now, his phone had mama. Again, none of this matters, but it's fun for them to put. It's kind of like when an older woman who's not scoring the date she wants to sends out a 690-point list of things she requires in a man. And in 2 weeks, you see her going out with the unemployed guy that just got out of jail. It doesn't really matter. But again, these are signaling tools to say, hey, I'm single. Hey, I'm high value, that sort of thing. Asked him to thinly slice some onion, and then the slices were like half an inch thick. That was a point of no return. The way he was walking back to our table with our pints was weird. I can't explain it. It was so visceral. So again, the ick, which is, you got to remember this too. And this is the important part of this. Girls constantly make terrible decisions. Why'd she ghost? His pants fit weird. Onion sliced too thick. Saved his mother's name wrong. Walked funny with our drinks. Don't trust this girl with her judgment about you. You can't. I mean, she can't drive. She gets lost in her own neighborhood. She can't go out after dark. And you've been conditioned to treat her like an equal. So you have to look at, girls make bad decisions, especially when it comes to men. That's why there's so many right now, hitting their late 20s, early 30s, unmarried. Because they kept, I'll find better next time. I'll find the next guy will be better. The next guy will be better. And it's not any better. It's the guy that she's already passed up 2 or 3 good choices. So girls constantly make terrible decisions. And so just keep that in mind whenever you're like thinking about being dumped, or a girl rejects you, or she ghosts. I mean, again, 99.9% of the time has absolutely nothing to do with you. Most of the time it has an ex showing back up. And again, you might even be a better deal than the ex, but she doesn't know you as well. So she's going to hedge your bets. And again, make a terrible decision and stick with the bad decision she knows. So that's what you're dealing with. You just have to keep that in mind. That's kind of like why we lead from the front all the time. What else is happening today? The Morning Hustle with Bunny and I will be on at 11. If you want to explore her girl brain and how her take on red pill game approaching, and she may have some better suggestions for you, Ian, because I always like to get her input on this stuff. She has more imagination and more on the ground experience than I do sometimes, from a girl's perspective, and she can give you a better idea and also kind of reassure you that girls don't mind if you're still living with mom. It's part of life. Girls, it's weird because, like this ick, and they are also more forgiving about normal life stuff most of the time. When you're around your average healthy girls, they're much more forgiving of circumstances and situations. They understand everybody kind of has a setback. They know what it's like going through a breakup, and they know what it's like, having to move back home sometimes. It's part of the game. So 11 o'clock, it'll be Bunny and I. If you guys like this, if you like the Chateau Artiste Maxims, the Maxims are the very first thing in my book, The Best of Chateau Artiste, that you can order it, instantaneous download. It has, I want to say, about 25 of the best articles. It might be more than that. 25 of the best articles that I ever read in Chateau, all compiled in one to help you move girls from complete stranger to in your bed and naked and returning and getting that return engagement. And then you get those rave reviews. That's what we have in store for you today. So if you guys like this, I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we will see you at 11. And if not 11, 7 a.m. tomorrow morning for the morning show. And I hope you guys have a great day.